I recently made the leap and I'm now a full-time artist. No day job, just my creative practice. Now that sounds great, but how do I actually make a living doing that? Well, this is part 1 in a 4-part series breaking it all down, and this week we're talking about makers markets. Hello, my name is Darren and I run a small business called Flam, creating unique homewares from old unwanted drum kits. And this is Flam Tap, a place both here on YouTube and on Patreon where you see behind the scenes as I run this business. You'll get to see more of who I am as a person and hopefully learn some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. First up, let's have some context of my experience at makers markets. This month marks 4.5 years of Flam, and for most of that time I solely focused on selling online, which is something we'll cover in a later video in this series. Selling at markets was always something that I wanted to do, but I was afraid that my products would be too big and bulky and that my price points would be a lot higher than the average trader. So last year I spent months and months developing new products, building unique displays, all in an effort to turn makers markets into a source of income. Eventually, after all that work, November came and I got stuck into my first festive season of markets. Since then, I've done 14 markets in 6 months with a bunch of different organisations in a wide variety of venues. From an old schoolhouse built in 1823 to a modern gin distillery, and this past weekend I had a market in a huge converted industrial warehouse with food vendors, bars, saunas, and live jazz. At each of these markets, I'm experimenting with different layouts and products, and I'm working my ass off not only to bring my best work, but also to find the best ways of presenting it and describing it that allow and encourage meaningful conversations with the people that I meet. All of this is to say that I'm new to this world, but I feel I've gained a lot of experience in a very short space of time. I'm profitable at every market, and while I'm no expert, I hope that some of my experience might be useful to any of you that are thinking about selling at markets too. And if anyone is still wondering who am I to be giving advice on a topic that I'm quite new at, I'll share one more thing that'll hopefully give me a little bit of street cred. So at one of my markets over Christmas, I was essentially scouted and invited to be one of around 10 makers at this year's Fringe by the Sea festival in August. For those that don't know, this is a big 10-day multi-arts festival held every year on the east coast of Scotland. I'll be there selling from my own little gazebo for 10 back-to-back days, which is a huge opportunity because last year around 85,000 people attended across the 10 days, and by all accounts it's the biggest event of the year for the makers that take part. So I obviously am absolutely buzzing and excited for this. I am completely terrified. I don't know if I'll have enough stock, I don't know how much stock to make, all the usual concerns, but I'm so excited. I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm really grateful that they reached out and invited me to take part. So with all of that out the way, here are my top 5 tips from my experience so far. Number 1, people buy you as much as your work. Your vibe matters, so smile and be engaging. Definitely get off your phone and definitely stand for the duration of the market if you're able to. It just makes you far more visible and you have a much better presence, and it's far easier for someone to feel comfortable to engage with you if you're already alert and present and looking like you want to have a conversation. After all, you created the work, so it's obviously something that you're passionate about. And one of the most attractive qualities a person can have is the ability to talk passionately about something that's important to them. Plus, in a world of globalization and mass production, having the opportunity to literally stand beside your work and engage with someone face to face is a huge opportunity and a huge advantage over everybody else. So whether you're having a good day or a quiet day, make sure that you respect and value that and remain open to the engagement. The more you engage in these ways, the better you get at discerning whether a customer would prefer to just quietly browse or whether you've found a kindred spirit who gets it and just wants to know your whole story. Tip number 2 is good copy goes a long way. More and more I find myself moving away from selling products and towards selling a story. For example, every time someone visits my table, I tell them that everything here is made from old drum kits that otherwise would go to scrap, and I'm trying to make as many different things from as many different parts of the kit as possible. So immediately they know that I'm upcycling and breathing new life into old objects. They know that there's a deliberate concept, and it encourages them to scan the table to see what different parts of the drum kit I've used. If they seem engaged with this, I'll then draw their attention to the planters and then the cymbal clocks. These are my best sellers, so I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to notice them. Which sounds a bit silly, but I've found that people sometimes miss the specifics if they're trying to take in your whole market table at once. In fact, I've even had people who miss the fact that my products are made out of drum kits until their second lap around the market. So yeah, I make sure to point out my best sellers, and I make sure that I have good copy to follow up with in order to sell the story as well as the product. Let's take my cymbal clocks for example. So for this clock, I've used a symbol called a crash symbol, and I've painted what I feel looks like an aerial view of waves crashing. So these are part of my waves crash symbol clock collection. Whereas for this clock, the symbols I get are often really very worn and no longer of any use to anyone. So I wanted to strike them one last time, imprinting their final hit in paint, and then the symbol can retire on your wall after a life of good use. This all helps sell the story and imbues each piece with character and personality, which are traits that I look for in the objects that I buy, and I've found that my customers also resonate with that. Tip number 3 is your booth is a sales tool. The design and layout of your booth or your table will affect engagement. So make sure you have your best sellers visible. Make sure that you have layers. For example, I bring wooden crates and wooden display boards that I've made in order to give me different options for different height levels. Having these different options is also really important if you're planning on selling at different venues, because different places have different sized tables. So giving yourself that flexibility and really allowing yourself to display your work at its best no matter where you go is a key point. Another important factor for your market table is have business cards in a space that is very visible and easy to spot. And ideally, make sure there's a QR code on your business card for people to find your work easier. If you don't have it on your business cards, I would say make sure you have a QR code somewhere on your table so that people can scan and find your work very quickly. And lastly, the most fun bit is make your table unique and personalized to you. It's your chance to really show your style and show your brand identity and allow you to really stand out amongst your peers. For example, one thing that I did was I made this rotating plinth stand that allows my work to be really eye-catching, especially from a distance. And it means as soon as people come into the market, they'll spot my work and be intrigued and want to come over. This is also really handy because it means I can display lots of different types of products all within one area of the table, and I don't have to then spread across and take up other valuable space. Another thing that I made to really help my market table stand out is this bespoke vending machine that I built into my drums. This is a really fun and engaging thing for the visitors to my table, and I detailed the entire build process from start to finish over on my Patreon. Believe it or not, this started life as an old condom vending machine that I bought on eBay. I stripped it, cleaned it, repaired it, and then built it bespoke inside my work. If you'd like to learn more and see the build itself, you can check out patreon.com/flamtab. Here is a selection of some of the items that my vending machine can dispense. Many of these were products that I designed to offer different price points, all of which are more than £3, but I offer them for £3 within the vending machine because it is a lucky dip. The customers have an option to buy them individually, but if they want to try their luck and just have a bit of fun, then they can do so with the vending machine. This leads me to tip number 4, which is have different price points. For me, this took some time to develop, but now I can comfortably offer products from £3 all the way up to £170. The bigger ticket items are great for grabbing attention and bringing people to your table, but not everyone is in the market to buy a planter for £80 when they're just visiting a maker's market. So it's important to have different products at different price points so that you can still convert sales and so that people can still support your work even in a small way. Again, this is key if you're going to be selling in different venues, because then your work is going to be in front of different demographics. For example, over Christmas I had a market in a town hall and it was a lot of families and young kids that came. So my vending machine sales actually surpassed the table fee that I had to pay to be there. Whereas the market at the weekend just passed, and the industrial unit with the live jazz and the bars, my vending machine doesn't really sell there, but I do sell a lot of planters and clocks. So yeah, variety is key and try and diversify. And lastly, tip number 5 is remember to have fun. It can be stressful and it's not easy putting yourself and your work out there for the approval of strangers, but honestly, being face to face with someone when they discover your work for the first time is the best feeling. It's also such a great way to meet other creatives and feel like you're part of a community. So while at times it might feel disheartening or stressful, remind yourself that your work deserves to be showcased. Try and remember what a gift it is that you can create something from nothing and introduce it into the world. And ultimately, don't forget to have fun. Alright folks, that is it for part 1 discussing makers markets. If you have any questions or tips of your own, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Part 2 of how I make a living as a full-time artist will be out next week, and I'll be talking all about Patreon. On the topic of which, if you found this video interesting, on Patreon I have a 30-part series called Let's Talk Markets, detailing the entire process from present day all the way back to my initial decision to break into the market scene. In that series, I also document my various experiments with different price points and products, and there's also an 11-part series of my vending machine build on there too. You can shop my work at flamhomewares.com. You can follow me at flam_homewares on Instagram, and you can join my Patreon club at patreon.com/flamtap. For now though, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.